and let us all do we can to build a better future. Daniel, you got a story for the people. What is going on?
Yeah, okay. So I've been talking a little bit about this for a little bit of time, and we're back at another update with the U.S. and Iran and that deal that the U.S. tore apart, that the U.S. is not in compliance with, that Iran technically is. Remember that deal? Okay, so stuff has happened since the last time I talked about it, which back then was nothing happening, and now something's happening. Negotiations on how to bring both the United States and Iran back into compliance with the 2015 Iran nuclear deal will take place among all parties in Vienna next week, but there will be no direct talks between the Iran and the United States. The participants agree in a virtual meeting on Friday. Restoring the nuclear agreement would signify a major improvement in the estranged relationship between Iran and the United States. How to sequence the return of both countries to the terms of the deal has been complicated political and technical question, which I can simplify as the U.S. broke the deal. The U.S. probably needs to be the one to get back in, with both sides insisting the other move first. I love how the article's not taking an objective point of why, but whatever. The Vienna talks, which began on Tuesday, will be the first serious effort since President Biden took office to figure out how that can happen. Mr. Biden wants to return to the deal negotiated while he was vice president under the Obama administration, which placed tough but temporary limits on Iran's nuclear activities in exchange for lifting American and international sanctions on Tehran, which they didn't fully. Indirect talks in Vienna between Iran and the United States, carried out in person through intermediaries, will seek to agree on a roadmap on how to synchronize steps to return to their commitments, including the lifting of economic sanctions, the U.S. official said. The United States would not seek to retain some sanctions for leverage. The official said, well, for now they say that, arguing that the previous maximum pressure campaign waged against Iran by the Trump administration has failed, which is why they've been continuing it up to this point. Let's see what happens. Ironically, in a just world, the U.S. Takes off sanctions first and then asks Iran to comply, because remember, if we follow the deal that was played out, if one country breaks the agreement, which was the U.S., unequivocally, all the other countries no longer have to abide by it. So everyone that's like, oh, but they're enriching their uranium right now, oh, they're allowed in the deal to do that the way the deal is written, since the U.S. broke out of it.
So when we look at a crisis like this, I'm always afraid of how the talks will eventually end. Will they end in a stalemate? Will there be some further escalation? And will we have to wait somewhere during the early spring or sometime during the summer, like we've done in 2019 and in 2020, where, oh no, there's a military conflict happening again? I remember in 2019 when we were starting just live streaming here on this channel, where it was very close, where Trump was ordering the bombers all the way over to Iran. At the very last second, he said, I don't like this, and turned it all back. I mean, I'm tired of this situation. I can't think of a situation that Iran has done to this country right now. I mean, we're the ones bullying them at this point.
Yeah. I mean, let's be real. Why did they build their country next to all our military bases? FaZe, can you pull up an image of the U.S. military bases around Iran, and then we can ask questions about what's reasonable?
Yeah. And again, we have to remember the reason why there's also an extremist government. Let's face it. Like, there's no such thing as a perfect government. There's no such thing as a perfect country. But the reason why the Ayatollahs, like, there's a religious extremist government in Iran in the first place is because the United States, with Great Britain, as well as the oil companies in America and Britain, staged a coup to remove the national democratic government that was in Iran and replaced it with the Shah of Iran. And then, because the people's lives are so terrible, the Ayatollahs took over. And the system that we see now is a result of the U.S. foreign policy. So, FaZe, I think we have the image. Again, you know.
Yeah, see, I'm looking at this image right now that we're about to show you, and I'm just thinking, Iran, why do you have to build your country there? You know it would really annoy the U.S. military bases in the area. I mean, why didn't you build it somewhere else?
Why is it that I can't help it when I look at that map, I'm thinking that scene from W. Have you seen that movie?
No.
We did on our Rockfin channel a movie review on W as well as on Cheney, and you know there's that scene where in the war room, Cheney is explaining to Bush in the movie W about taking over Iran. And it's madness. Just seeing this right there. It doesn't have to be this way. It truly doesn't.